Hello. So long before the movie Ghost made pottery a really sexy thing, I visited the town of Delft, Holland, and I saw a potter making pottery on the wheel. I was so riveted and fascinated, and it became kind of an obsession and a fantasy for me to become a potter. So in about 1972, when gas was 38 cents a gallon and the Watergate building was broken into, Gary Trudeau wrote about a cartoon about Doonesbury, and Duke was the governor of American Samoa. I was also reading Margaret Mead and was fascinated with the idea of pottery being like the primitive art form, and I just love the idea of this. So I was hired to be the first art teacher in American Samoa. And I thought when I got to Samoa that I was going to learn pottery from the natives. Well, I didn't find this in Margaret Mead's book, and there is a reason why. The Samoans did not have pottery. As a matter of fact, they hadn't even invented the wheel, let alone the potter's wheel. It was a sustainable culture. It was paradise, and paradise to them meant that everything grew off of the coconut tree. The fishes in the sea supplied their food, and life was good. But what they had for cups were coconut shells, and what they had for plates were banana leaves. So, undaunted, I found out that there was a potter on the island, and she was the wife of the lieutenant governor, Esther Mockler, who was a potter from Wyoming, and that's where the real potters came from in the 70s. So fast forward 20 countries, and about 4 years later, I moved to Vermont, and I kept my vision of becoming a production potter. So you can see all the pieces have a similarity to them, because this was how I was going to make my living, and I started with wholesale shows, and then I did like 12 craft fairs a year. I was in about 30 galleries, and it was going on the road. I was so busy, it was like the sorcerer's apprentice. When I started making my pots, it spread throughout every flat surface in my house. And actually my son said, "Where are we going to eat, Mom?" I said, "Just make a little space for your plate." So every time a friend of mine, or not every time, but when friends came over, everyone in my family, except for my daughter, she wants me to tell you, broke a piece. And when pieces broke, it really upset me, because I spent a long time on crafting each piece. I made my own glazes, and the glazes were all layered with colors. Whoops, I'm going to go back. So I had a lot of studio disasters. So one time there was a big thunderstorm, and the person who lived above me left the windows open, and the rain came down on my ware rack. All the unfired pottery became all pie shapes. Then another time I went to unload my fired kiln, and the kiln was still on. So everything melted into one lump in the bottom of it. And finally, on the way to a craft fair, after I'd worked for months making all my pottery, packed my car to the gills, I was in a 60-car pileup, and I had broken pottery. So I went to the craft fair anyway, and at that time I was moving to Boston to start a new life. So I had all these shards. I never threw away my shards, because each shard I thought was really beautiful. So I kind of had this little shard collection. And when I moved to Boston, I started to do sculptural ceramics, not just functional, but sculptural. And then I started to put the shards into it. So this piece is kind of my gateway into the shard world. And when I came here, I became involved with the Women's Caucus for Art. Now, they were having a fundraiser art exhibition for Rosie's Place, but you had to have a 12-inch square piece to go on the wall. So I didn't have any wall pieces. I only had sculpture and pottery. But as I was walking through my studio, I saw these shards. So I said, wait a minute, I'm gonna like kind of rearrange them and put them together. And I said, wow, this looks really great. That was like my aha moment. So I took these broken things and I made it into a new image, something really beautiful and exciting. I threw it on a piece of plywood, brought it to the show, and it sold. Then I said, well, this is good. I like this direction. So I'm going to start doing more mosaics. It took over. I started giving workshops, and 4 people, 6 people. I did big projects, and 2 years later, after that show, I got a phone call, and it was, hi, Bette Ann, this is Lynn. I bought that piece for the Rosie's place, and all the pieces fell off. So I said, oh my God, please, I'm so glad you called me. Please bring it back, because I'll fix it. Now I know the right way to do the ceramic shard mosaics. So she came, and we became friends. It turned out that Lynn had had brain surgery, and when she took my workshop, she came back the next day and she said, it's the first time I slept through the night. So I did see the power of concentration and healing that the making mosaics took place. So in this picture, this is one of my first mosaics. About this time, I learned about the sage Isaac Luria. He was the mystic of Safed, and he was one of the original thinkers who thought about the Big Bang. And what he said was, when the universe was formed, it was a vessel, and the vessel shattered. And now our job is to put back the pieces together and to heal the world and make the world a beautiful place, which can be done in deeds as well as ceramics. And this is the metaphor for mosaics. So now I've been teaching people how to break things, and kids love it, all ages love it. Children work together from age 5 to up to adults. People work side by side in communities, 80-year-olds, men, women, people that don't speak the same language can work on a piece together. And then the final result is they have a beautiful piece for their institution. At the Museum of Fine Arts last year, we had 740 children in 1 week. So here it is. Life turned around. It didn't make me sad to have broken pieces anymore. And if you have a piece, an heirloom, that is cracked, just bring it to me. And we will break it into something new. Thank you.